All right, peace. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. So I was doing some inventory inspections, of course, looking around on YouTube, looking at the hottest things that's going around on the web and stuff like that. And usually the conversation's always geared towards the same thing. What do I mean by that? Usually we have a lot of these conversations that seems to be comforting nowadays. I see a lot of these men, especially brothers, that spend more of their time making podcasts and then having these regular low level conversations about dating and about the psychosis of women, and then sit up there talking about women do this and women do that, and then sit up there talking about dating and da 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 da. I've always been a staunch advocate on mental health for men in order for men to understand that they need to become a better version of themselves to know exactly where they're going. And we're all not perfect when we're coming to this, right? We have set delays. Sometimes things come up where we have to question our reality in the world and things become very, very different, right? So this also goes into how sometimes, or most of the time, I usually hear men specifically on YouTube, especially on panels, they will have discussions about the dating aspect and all this other stuff, talk about feminism and all this other things in the conversation, how men ain't really men. And then the women respond by saying men ain't really men anymore. They don't really do this, they don't really do that. It's a whole entire battlefield, right? So I took it upon myself of seeing this woman named Brie, who was a psychologist, therapist, whatever you want to call it, that just got fired for, expressing exactly her frustrations about the so-called black man online. I'm going to give a view on the video, the original video, because I already seen a lot of brothers and a lot of people out there already gave their review about the whole entire thing. But I guess I give my spin on it in order to really give my opinion based, what do I take from this video? And so far in the video, a lot of things she said is completely right. Now, profile seems as if she's still dealing with like liberalism and the Western ideologies and ideals. So we definitely do have a problem on that. But this is the thing, when you have a profession that monitors you, I mean, at the end of the day, that's on you. And I think a lot of people of this generation do not understand that when you're working under a contract, you're working under a company, you do have to save yourself when it comes to what you post online because it can be used against you. Now, I didn't really believe in, you know, uh, third parties and people just going ahead and doxing her, finding out where she works and saying all this other stuff. If it's so-called black men that did that, I am so not proud of you, so-called black men. That was the most shameful thing you can do. And it really made me think about this whole entire thing. If so-called black men can take people's opinions, because when it comes to the so-called black community, we are very hard-headed. We are very stern on our beliefs. And, we don't believe what could proliferate a better conversation, especially between a so-called black man and so-called black woman. Usually it's all this shame, blaming, and explaining. So then we're able to come up top and say, yes, I'm better than you, or I said what I said, and there's nothing you can do about it. Both sides is hard-headed, both the so-called black woman and the so-called black man. But I really want to concentrate on what she said and give my thoughts and opinions about what she said. So, Pete.
I fucking love it here. First off, y'all bitches is smart. This is the exact The comment says, I wish men would understand that emotional intelligence is so important because of how much clarity slash security it would bring to your lives. Y'all think bitches just be talking in y'all ear just to be fucking talking. We don't.
Well, already started off with a strong start. You understand what I'm saying? But to the say to the comment, let me just read it for myself. I wish men would understand that emotional intelligence is so important because how much clarity slash security it brings into your life. And I absolutely do agree that us as men need to understand emotional intelligence, how we are. If we blow up in an argument, if we take things to heart when someone says it. And I mean, look, listen, the most greatest gift in life is knowing yourself, knowing your flaws, knowing your strengths, your opportunities and your threats. I actually go over this as a SWOT analysis that's correlated with business, but I want to apply this to real life as well. Us as men, we have to realize that. I mean, we're all not perfect. I mean, there's my days I may argue with someone and feel bad about it later, or, I should have never done that. But the great thing about life is you live and you learn. As long as you keep going up in that ladder of wanting to improve yourself, there's nothing anybody can take away from you. The only thing you can take away from it is yourself. And that's why we have a lot of men out there that can't cope with reality. They really feel like they have to go ahead and, at the most, commit suicide, or feel like they have to go through this downward depression all day and feel like the world doesn't love them. The world does love you. The question is, do you love yourself enough so that you're able to work on the intricate parts about yourself to become a better man? That's the question.
Y'all think bitches just want to argue with y'all because y'all refuse to expand your emotional vocabulary. We don't. It's to provide clarity for both us and y'all dusty bitches. Let me stop. This shit really truly irks me, because when I say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary, it's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your bitch? I think yes, right?
I mean, yeah, you want to be able to communicate with your bitch. That's no problem. But sometimes you got to realize you got to save yourself from toxicity. If that's something that you really want, if you want peace and happiness, sometimes you just got to allow yourself to say, I'm not dealing with this right now. This is not for me. This is not what I'm into. I don't feel like arguing. I don't feel like doing none of this crap. If that's you, then that's you. You understand? But I mean, nothing in this video yet has made me feel like she said anything wrong. Now, of course, I think the language is strong. I definitely think the language was really out there, but hey, at the end of the day, the message is the message. Just like guys that be comfort, have a comfortable conversation, or hear a so-called black woman in particular, a lot of these dating gurus and stuff like that'll sit up there and try to call women out on these shit so that they can feel happy. No matter where it comes from, who it comes from, how they speak, a lot of these brothers want to be able to hear that shit online so that they can say, you see, the women are the problem. No, so-called black men, you are the problem too. You have to realize that. That's the problem. Y'all don't want to work on yourselves. And y'all so quick to judge someone who may not say it in a way you like, that this is the reason you want to go ahead to the faction of getting this woman fired from a job. And if it was so-called black men that did this, that emotions is speaking loud, bro.
Long gone are the days where you can just shut down. Bitches is not tolerating that. Like, it used to be where men provided financially or with schmeat, and bitches can make their own self come and we can pay for our own shit. So I'm gonna need y'all to catch up on the emotional part. If a bitch is
I mean, yeah, bitches can make their own. I mean, if you're talking about bitches with vibrators and all this other shit, of course, women are self. I mean, this is a society where they are catering to women. This is not about me creating a gender war concept. This is a society that's catered towards women. And especially as a so-called black man, you are dead last. The so-called black woman comes before you. It's already a conversation we already had thousands of times. But my thing about it is, at the end of the day, that's why when you focus on yourself as a man and you know exactly what you want out of life, women are not a factor as your primary focus. They become a focus when you have time. When you're in a place in your life where you feel okay. When you don't feel okay at this very moment, women should not matter. And I wish brothers would understand that. A lot of brothers put on these shows like, yeah, whatever, and stuff like that. They wind up getting with a woman and knowing the fact of the matter that they fucked up. I mean, look, listen, again, we're all not perfect. It's about learning. But at the end of the day, know yourself.
telling you I need you to communicate more, open your fucking mouth. But you know what I realized? And let me back up. A common misconception about me as a clinician is that 90% of my clientele have been men, Black men specifically. And what we specifically work on is expanding their emotional vocabulary, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't even have the words to express how you're feeling. So
because the man has felt to a point where he doesn't express himself because he feels like he's going to either be judged, or the fact of the matter, he has this pseudo make-believe masculine trait where he feels as if I'm a man, I shouldn't have to say anything. How do I feel about women being therapists towards men? I mean, there's pros and cons. The pros is a woman is in her nurture place as a woman, right? She's in her nurture state. That's what I meant to say, her nurture state. So her being comforting and her allowing the man to express how he feels, it's a beautiful asset. You know what I'm saying? The con is sometimes conversations that a man doesn't feel comfortable saying to a woman, it's like we can't use you for that. There should be conversations that men need to have with men. And more specifically, when it's a so-called black man in certain capacities that wasn't raised with his father, who else does he have to lean on? Sometimes his bros don't do the job. Sometimes he doesn't have a grandfather or an uncle that he can lean on to talk about his specific situations. So the con is a woman can't get to all the facets of what a man goes through in his life. I think a majority of it that is true that she cannot understand. So of course there's going to be differences because that woman is only going to be allowed to act on certain things. It'd be fine for a woman to talk about relationships and talk about the mindset and all this other stuff that's easy for her to converse about. But at the same time, the problem with the woman is that she believes that she's able to understand all the components of a man and she cannot. So this is the reason why she may have frustrations because a man may not feel comfortable with certain conversations that he dares to express to that woman. So, I mean, I understand it. I try to understand both sides as usual, but this therapist or clinician, you know what I'm saying? There's just certain things us as men are not going to talk about with women, especially as a clinician, therapist, psychologist, whatever you want to call it. It's just not comfortable for the man.
You expand your vocabulary and knowledge of what you are experiencing because y'all are human beings who experience feelings and emotions and don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all ain't had to choke that shit down since 2016. Anyway, if y'all are not in therapy, expanding your emotional vocabulary, your life just off top is going to be more difficult. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bro. You're not. When bitches are telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us, it's for y'all sad motherfuckers. Go to therapy, talk about that shit that's on your chest. You don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all are doing a disservice to yourself. And so
now, let me say this. I think it's a beautiful thing if a significant other, parents, or people around you challenge you to go see a therapist. If that's something you want to do. If you don't have any other outliers, as in, you have any healthy tips, such as meditating, writing in your journal, bike riding, going to the gym, and all these different things, see a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. I definitely don't disagree with what she's saying when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? The approach, yeah, a lot of brothers is just fucking sad out here and they take their anger out on the woman. You understand what I'm saying? They don't do the self work. Sometimes you need to be away from bae for a second. Sometimes you need to be away from your girl. Be like, hey, look, listen, I just need time. I need all this. I can't be around you right now. You know what I'm saying? And if your woman really cares about you, she'll tell you to see a therapist. She'll do her part on trying to understand you and be there for you too. But men, we got to do better. I definitely don't see much wrong in what Brie is saying. So I'm actually pretty surprised. I think it was because of the language that was used. I seen a lot of people on Instagram, YouTube, and all this other stuff make their reactions, but I was like, I don't think she's really saying all the things all that wrong. Us as men, we hide our emotions a lot. You know what I'm saying? We got to do it, and we have to be able to express it in a healthy way, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, listen, I don't like telling my personal business, and that's just me. But I mean, the man has plenty of avenues of expressing himself. It's all up to you. Do you want to keep it bottled up inside, or do you want to actually open about how you really feel? That is the question.
let me sum this shit up. Y'all told bitches to elevate our standards. And at the cost of us elevating y'all standards, y'all got axed because y'all didn't elevate either. Bitches are not tolerating emotional abuse, emotional neglect. Step it up. Go talk to somebody. Go expand your emotional vocabulary so your life can be better, bitch.
I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think a lot of what she said in this video is wrong. I really don't. My thing about it is men, especially when I hear these dudes on panels and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. The westernized woman is because she still has the westernized way of thinking. So she's not completely let off the hook. She isn't. But at the same time, the problem with us as men, when it comes to the society, it's so easy for us to castigate or place blame on somebody else instead of dealing with how we feel inside. And I think that's going on for a majority of people in this society. But us as so-called black men, or things that I see. I mean, I think I even seen this the other day, man. I realized how much people in this society have such a negative stimuli when it comes to life. It's so easy to say that someone is a hater, someone's hating on you. That person is a dusty, you're a bitch, you're this, you're that, and blase, blase, blah. They got on like what I was watching that trash ass network, Zeus Network, I think it is. They have these stupid ass shows with these so-called black men. I think one of them is supposed to be competing for this socialite from that trash ass show Love and Hip Hop or something like that. And it's a gay man. You got these men coming on there talking about, oh, he a hater, he this, he that. There's another show called Bad Boys or something like that, and they going on there automatically wanting to fight. So the feministic value in men these days, shit. I mean, I can't even call it. But like I said, like anybody who knows me knows that I'm very modest. I know that I have my faults, I have my weaknesses, but I also have my strengths. I know how I am as a man. You understand? And I have no problem expressing myself to people, whoever it may be who's close to me, to have a conversation. I have no problem with that. What the thing about it is, emotional intelligence, what does the so-called black man wants to do on that? Because preaching all this shit about how women need to become feminine, how you want women to be feminine if you ain't masculine enough? Or even if you're not quote unquote masculine, do you know yourself to know what is your weaknesses and your strengths? That's the thing that I always gear towards brothers. Do you know yourself well enough to know your strengths and weaknesses? That's the question, man. Don't worry about if a woman wants to be feminine and all this other stuff, or you got to go to different places to get that feminine woman and all this other stuff. Women shouldn't even be a primary focus. Your life should be. And about how you want to be healthier in the mind, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, everything. You understand? So that's what I wanted to talk about.